Hello, my name's Christina, and welcome back to Control Alt Human, a safe place to wrinkle the brain and, update the mental software. In this video, we're going to be talking about the first 5 of the 10 most common patterns of toxic thinking. In our 3-part series, our first video, we talked about several structures in the brain and how they work with the body to kind of keep somebody thinking and feeling in whatever way or level that they are currently thinking or feeling. In this video, we're going to talk about the first 5 patterns. And those are filtering, catastrophizing, polarized thinking, overgeneralization, and last one for this video, we're going to talk about mind reading. The next video in our 3-part series, we're going to address the next 5. So, without any further ado, let's dive in. Filtering. Filtering happens when a person takes all of the negative details of an event, everything that didn't quite go right, and focuses on those, magnifies those, and for the most part disqualifies any of the positive that happened. Now when we take 1 or 2 details of an event, particularly the negative ones, we're not counting the rest, which means that we're really not having an accurate idea of what actually happened. Furthermore, when we take those ideas and focus on them, chastise ourselves for them, beat ourselves up about them, this person really isn't thinking about how they can do it better, how they can improve going forward. And that's a large part of what makes this kind of thinking toxic. Something that can be helpful here, if you or somebody you know maybe is filtering, is making a list. List out 5 or 10 positive and negative aspects of a particular situation or an event or thought. And how this helps is it actually forces the person to acknowledge the positive in addition to the negative. From there, they can kind of assign value to each of these things, decide how big of a deal each of these things were, and kind of give themselves a more realistic perspective of what actually happened. Additionally, since it's down on the paper, it's tangible, you can make a plan of how to move forward, how to improve going forward, or how to do it better. The second pattern is catastrophizing. Now, catastrophizing happens when a person is thinking about the worst case scenario in every scenario. Okay, this is the wonderful game of what ifs. What if I crash and bomb? What if I fail? What if I humiliate myself? The underlying belief here in this pattern is not trusting one's self and their ability to survive, their ability to thrive and do well. When we think about the worst case scenario, the best thing that can be done here on this one is, again with the list, make a list of every possible scenario, every possible thing that could happen, not just the bad, but the good. And from there, you can determine the likelihood of each of these things actually happening. Additionally, this will give the person a much more balanced perspective, a much more realistic perspective, and kind of they can plan from there how they wish to proceed, how they wish to avoid or even encourage, do things to maximize the chances of the good scenarios, of the good outcomes happening. The third pattern that we as human beings, or some human beings actually find themselves getting into, is polarized thinking. Polarized thinking is a very black and white way of thinking. Something is either good or it is bad. It is perfect or it is a failure. Now, polarized thinking operates on the principle of always and never, which we all know is not realistic. Life is full of grays and every other color in the spectrum. Polarized thinking can feel very safe because having an absolute answer feels safe. It allows us to avoid the uncomfort of uncertainty. But again, not coming from a realistic place, this person would not understand other people, would not understand themselves, and additionally, might judge things unnecessarily because they are not perfect. But then many things in this world are not perfect, but are good. The fourth thing we do is overgeneralization. Now this is the opposite of polarized thinking. This happens when we kind of take one or two instances or something that worked one or two times, and we make a general conclusion about everything based on the results of those one or two things. An example of this might be if you were able to distract a friend, kind of get their mind off of a certain problem that they were having. That every time this friend had a problem, all you needed to do was get their mind off of it. Take them out for a drink, go see a movie. But other times, this friend might have a different problem, and they might need to feel understood. They might need to be listened to. The same thing does not necessarily work in every scenario. Now again, just like polarized thinking, this operates on the principle of always and never. With both of these patterns, what can end up happening, in addition to the unrealistic understanding, definitely a human, unrealistic understanding that I keep talking about, is that a person may end up actually leading a very restricted life. They may be afraid of and not go after certain opportunities, not participate in certain events for fear of failing. Because they failed once, so surely they will fail again. Because it wasn't good enough once, so surely it will not be good enough again. This is not accurate. The fifth and final pattern for this video is mind reading. Now, the person thinking in this way, the mind reader, as much as I hate to say that, probably knows what you're thinking. They know what I'm thinking. It's written all over my face. It's in your tone of voice. They're perceptive. They've got a pretty good handle on what's going on in other people's heads. Mind reading works on the principle of projection, that other people think like we think. Other people feel like we feel. They think like a reasonable person would think. And this isn't always true. Everybody is different, and they come from different sets of experiences that shape how they work their mental mind processes. One piece of logic on this is everybody, and I know I'm mind reading a little on this one, but everybody has at some point in their lives looked at another person and thought, what is that person thinking? What are they doing? What is running through that person's mind? And quite frankly, if we all thought the same, and we all thought as reasonable people think, we wouldn't encounter that. That wouldn't be something that we would ever see. David Foster Wallace said something once that is actually somewhat applicable. He said that you'll worry a lot less what people think when you realize how seldom that they do. Now, the way that this is applicable is that everybody does think in different ways. Everybody does have a different set of experiences that influence how they perceive and work with the world. So for the mind reader, something that can be done is, instead of reading what's going on somebody's face and worrying that they're being judged, that this person is disapproving of them, that this person is sizing them up or judging them, is simply to remind yourself that you have no idea what this person is thinking. As humbling as that may be, this person may be thinking of that mean thing that their girlfriend or boyfriend said to them earlier today. They might be thinking that they forgot to pull the chicken out of the oven. They might be stressed about a work situation and holding on to that and just thinking about that even as they're talking to you. Mind reading on this one a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that we've all done that. That's it. Those are the first 5 of the 10 most common patterns of toxic thinking. In this video, we went over filtering, catastrophizing, polarized thinking, overgeneralization, and mind reading. In the next video, which there are links to both the first and last video down below, we're going to go over the next 5 of the most toxic patterns. So, I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching. Stay kind.